Have you ever held a secret so powerful it could change everything, yet revealing it might destroy the life you've carefully built? Some people spend years hiding who they truly are, believing that invisibility equals safety. But what happens when staying silent becomes more dangerous than speaking up? Before we dive into this incredible journey of courage and transformation, please hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our stories. And I'd love to know where in the world you're watching from. Drop your city in the comments below so I can see how far our community reaches. Your support means everything. Now, let me tell you about Lily Matthews. At 25, Lily had perfected the art of being invisible. After 3 months as a temporary assistant at Sterling Corporation, barely anyone knew she existed. She preferred it that way. The glass-walled conference room felt like a fishbowl, beautiful, cold, and completely exposing. But Lily had learned something crucial growing up. When you're different, silence protects you better than any explanation ever could. So she sat in her corner during meetings, taking notes that nobody read, existing in the spaces between conversations. Just another face in the corporate crowd. Marcus Sterling, the CEO, commanded every room he entered. At 33, he'd built his empire on one unshakable principle: trust nothing you can't verify. Every decision needed evidence. Every relationship required contracts. He'd learned the hard way that faith in people only led to disappointment. When the lead strategist's microphone died mid-presentation, Marcus's jaw tightened. The international investors from Tokyo leaned together, whispering urgently in Japanese. The entire deal was crumbling, and Marcus Sterling didn't do failure. Lily's fingers trembled as she wrote. She could see the investors' lips moving, watch the concern forming in their expressions. She understood every word they were saying, reading their conversation as clearly as if they'd been speaking directly to her. She'd learned to read lips after losing most of her hearing at age 7. A childhood illness had left her world muffled and distant. While other kids played, Lily taught herself to watch mouths, to translate movement into meaning, to understand conversations across languages. It became her secret superpower, her way of staying connected when her ears failed her. But telling people felt like admitting she was broken. She'd seen those looks before, pity mixed with uncomfortable silence. Conversations would shift. People would start speaking too slowly, too loudly, treating her like something fragile that might shatter. What could have been inspiring became her deepest shame instead. The broken microphone represented everything Lily feared. Technology could be fixed. Her difference was permanent. Marcus's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Can anyone understand what they're saying?" Silence answered him. His executive assistant, Victoria Chen, polished, powerful, positioned at his right hand like a queen guarding her throne, shook her head smoothly. Then Marcus's eyes landed on Lily. "You, in the corner. Did you catch any of that?" Lily's throat went completely dry. Every instinct screamed at her to disappear, to blend back into comfortable invisibility. But her notebook held the truth, a perfect transcription of a conversation no one else could access. Her voice came out barely above a whisper. "Mr. Tanaka said your projected numbers don't account for third-quarter volatility in Asian markets. Miss Sato is concerned about the lack of contingency planning for currency fluctuation." The room went absolutely still. 20 pairs of eyes turned to her like she'd just performed actual magic. Victoria's expression shifted to something darker: calculation, mixed with unmistakable threat. She'd been Marcus's right hand for 3 years, and now this nobody temp had done something Victoria never could. Marcus leaned forward, his intense gaze boring into Lily. "How could you possibly know that?" Suspicion dripped from every syllable. Victoria's laugh came first, sharp, dismissive, designed to cut. "That's quite the imagination," she said, condescension coating every word. She must have been eavesdropping somehow. How else would a temporary assistant understand conversations in other languages? Uncomfortable chuckles rippled through the room. Lily felt her face burning, that old familiar shame creeping up her spine like ice water. "I wasn't eavesdropping," she stammered. "I just made an educated guess." "Based on what?" Victoria pressed, standing now. Your extensive experience in international finance? Or did you overhear something you shouldn't have? The implication hung heavy in the air. Lily was a sneak, someone who couldn't be trusted. But Marcus held up one hand. Translate for them. Tell them we'll address their concerns in the revised proposal. Lily's hands shook as she spoke, her pronunciation careful and clear. Mr. Tanaka's eyebrows lifted in genuine surprise. He responded directly to her in rapid Japanese. Lily translated back without hesitation. He says he's impressed by your willingness to listen, and he'll wait for the revised numbers. The meeting concluded with handshakes instead of disaster. As the room emptied, Victoria remained, her smile never quite reaching her eyes. The threat was immediate and personal. This shy girl had just made Victoria look expendable, and that was unforgivable. Lily fled to the elevator, heart hammering against her ribs. In the lobby, she nearly collided with Bernard Hayes, the security guard whose gentle presence had been her only comfort in this cold building. At 58, Bernard wore his hearing aids without shame. His smile held the warmth of someone who understood struggles most people never saw. Quite something that just happened, Bernard said, his hands moving in sign language as he spoke. Words were flying fast up there. Lily's eyes filled with tears. They think I'm a liar, or worse, a spy. They think you're something they can't explain, Bernard corrected gently. And people get real nervous around things they don't understand. He paused, his weathered face kind. People laugh when they're confused, sweetheart. But you know you're special, right? Lily wanted desperately to believe him. His words felt like a lifeline, but as she rode the train home, all she could see was the shy girl who'd spent 18 years learning that being quiet meant being safe. The next morning arrived, wrapped in dread. Lily came in early, but the office already buzzed with whispers. Conversations stopped when she walked past. Heard she speaks like 5 languages. Seems suspicious. How did a temp get hired without proper background checks? Lily. My office. Now. Marcus's voice cut through her anxiety like a knife through butter. Inside his corner office, he closed the door with deliberate precision. He didn't invite her to sit. Yesterday afternoon, I reviewed security footage, Marcus said, his tone completely neutral. I watched you near the elevators. Johnson and Matthews were talking, and you were watching them very intently. Lily's blood ran cold. She remembered seeing 2 employees chatting quietly. She'd unconsciously read their lips, catching their conversation about Marcus being out of touch, about the company needing younger leadership. You understood that conversation, didn't you? Marcus pressed. Even though you were several feet away, even though they were deliberately quiet. What did they say about me? Lily felt trapped between truth and self-preservation. They said you're losing connection with younger markets, that the board might need to consider fresh leadership in the next few years. Marcus's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. Respect, maybe, or fear. You heard that from that distance, with your back partially turned? I didn't hear it, Lily whispered. I read their lips. You read their lips? Marcus repeated slowly, testing the words like they might explode. What exactly are you hiding from me, Lily? The walls felt like they were closing in. I can read lips in multiple languages. I learned when I was 7 because I have partial hearing loss. I'm not a spy. I'm not invading anyone's privacy. I can't turn it off. When people talk, I see the words forming, and my brain automatically processes them. Marcus studied her for what felt like an eternity. That makes you either incredibly valuable or incredibly dangerous to have in this building. Lily met his gaze. I know. That's why I never told anyone. Sometimes the truth you hide becomes the cage you live in. For 2 days, Lily existed in limbo. Marcus watched her intensely. Victoria watched her with focused hatred. Then came the Whitmore negotiation, an $8 million contract that should have been straightforward. Lily sat in her usual corner, taking notes. The Whitmore representatives had excellent credentials. The terms appeared fair. Marcus seemed ready to move forward. But Lily noticed Mr. Chen lean toward his colleague, hand partially covering his mouth as he spoke in Mandarin words about impossible delivery timelines, about outsourcing to inferior suppliers, about quality that wouldn't match expectations. Her pen froze mid-stroke. Every fiber of her being screamed to stay quiet, to stay invisible. But $8 million hung in the balance. Jobs, livelihoods, the company's reputation. Mr. Sterling. Lily's voice cut through the room, stronger than she'd ever heard it. I need to speak with you privately. Immediately. The room went silent. Victoria's eyes narrowed dangerously. Marcus's expression was unreadable. We're in the middle of negotiations. I understand, sir. But you need to hear what I have to say. Right now. Something in her tone made him stand. Gentlemen, excuse us for a moment. In the hallway, Lily's hands shook as she explained what she'd seen, what she'd read on their lips, the deception hidden behind professional smiles. Marcus's face went pale, then hard as stone. You're absolutely certain? I'm certain of what they said to each other. I can't know their true intentions, but their words were clear. Marcus was silent for a long moment. Then he did something that changed everything between them. Thank you, he said quietly. Thank you for trusting me enough to speak up. He walked back into that conference room and politely but firmly declined the deal. The Whitmore representatives looked shocked, but something in Marcus's eyes told them he knew. They left without argument. Victoria cornered Lily in the bathroom that afternoon. You're playing a dangerous game, Victoria said, her voice low and threatening, making yourself indispensable to him. But let me tell you something. People like you don't last here. You're a novelty, an interesting trick, and when he gets bored, you'll disappear, just like all the others. Lily felt her confidence wavering, that old shame rising up. But then she remembered Bernard's words. You know you're special, right? She lifted her chin. Maybe I will disappear, but right now, I'm still here, and I'm doing my job the best way I know how. Victoria's eyes flashed with rage, but she said nothing else. The war, however, was far from over. That evening, Marcus called Lily to his office again. Sit, he said, and this time it was an invitation, not a command. I've made a decision about you, he began. But first, I need to understand something. Why didn't you just let me sign that contract? You could have stayed invisible. Safe. Lily took a deep breath. Because $8 million wasn't worth letting you walk into a trap. Because staying silent would have made me complicit. And because, she paused, surprised by her own courage. Because you trusted me enough to listen, and I couldn't betray that. Marcus nodded slowly. I'm creating a new position, Director of Strategic Intelligence. The job is yours if you want it. Your ability to read lips, to understand multiple languages, to notice what others miss, that's not a disability. It's an asset, one this company desperately needs. Lily felt tears burning her eyes. People will say I don't deserve it, that I'm only getting it because of my condition. Let them say it, Marcus replied firmly. You've already proven your worth. The question is, are you brave enough to stop hiding and actually own it? The next 6 months transformed everything. Lily moved into her new role with cautious determination. She uncovered 2 more fraudulent deals, identified 3 potential partnerships nobody else had noticed, and slowly, carefully, started to believe in herself. But Victoria wasn't finished. She'd been building her case, gathering allies, preparing for the perfect moment to strike. That moment came during the annual board meeting. Victoria stood before the directors, her presentation polished and devastating. We have a significant security concern, she began, her voice grave. Our Director of Strategic Intelligence has been conducting unauthorized surveillance of employees and executives. She's been reading private conversations, gathering information without consent. We have documented incidents of her watching people deliberately, following them, invading their privacy. She clicked to the next slide security footage of Lily in various locations, timestamps, highlighting moments that looked damning when stripped of context. This behavior creates massive liability, Victoria continued, not to mention the ethical violations. I'm recommending immediate termination and a full investigation. The board members looked shocked, concerned, ready to protect the company at any cost. Marcus stood, his face unreadable. Those are serious allegations. Victoria smiled, thinking she'd won. Which is why, Marcus continued, I asked our legal team to review them 3 days ago when you first brought them to my attention. Victoria's smile faltered. What you're calling unauthorized surveillance is actually Lily doing her job, a job I created specifically to utilize her unique abilities. Every instance you've highlighted was her identifying potential threats or opportunities. She wasn't invading privacy. She was protecting this company. He clicked to his own presentation. Here's what you didn't include. The Whitmore deal, she stopped. Saving us $8 million and our reputation. The Chen partnership she identified. Bringing in $12 million in new revenue. The internal theft she uncovered. Preventing a data breach that could have cost us everything. The board members' expressions shifted. But more than that, Marcus said, his voice quieter now. You're asking us to punish someone for being different, for having an ability that makes you uncomfortable. That's not just wrong, it's discriminatory. And it's not how this company operates. He looked directly at Victoria. You're right that we need to address this. So effective immediately, we're implementing a new company-wide policy on disability accommodation and ethical use of unique abilities. Lily will help draft it. Victoria's face went white with rage. As for you, Victoria, you're being reassigned. You've shown remarkable strategic thinking, but your inability to value diverse perspectives limits your effectiveness in leadership. You'll be heading our new compliance division, where your attention to detail will be an asset. It was a demotion dressed as a promotion, and everyone in that room knew it. After the meeting, Lily found Bernard in the lobby. She was shaking, overwhelmed by everything that had happened. You stood up for yourself, Bernard said proudly. Even when it was terrifying. Marcus stood up for me, Lily corrected. Because you gave him the chance to, Bernard replied. You stopped hiding, sweetheart. You let yourself be seen. That's the bravest thing anyone can do. 2 years later, Lily stood on a stage at the National Conference on Workplace Diversity. She wore a navy suit that fit perfectly, not borrowed, but truly hers. Her badge read, Director of Strategic Intelligence and Inclusion Initiatives. But more than the title, it was the confidence in her posture that marked the change. Everyone has something that makes them different, Lily began, her voice clear and steady. For me, it's partial hearing loss that I compensate for through lip reading in multiple languages. For a long time, I believed my difference was my weakness. I hid it like a shameful secret, convinced that being seen meant being rejected. She paused, looking out at hundreds of faces watching her. But here's what I learned. Hiding doesn't protect you. It just makes you smaller. And the world doesn't need smaller versions of us. It needs us full-sized, complicated, beautifully different. Lily shared her story carefully. She talked about Bernard, who showed her that disability didn't diminish dignity. About Marcus, who learned to value authenticity over conformity. About the Different Perspectives Initiative, that Sterling Corporation had launched a program actively recruiting people whose voices had been silenced by traditional systems. We've hired 63 people in the past year, Lily continued with pride. A financial analyst who's legally blind uses audio software to identify market patterns that sighted analysts miss. An autistic employee who struggled in chaotic environments now leads our data team, and her productivity has quadrupled. A veteran with PTSD thought his career was over, but now he leads our crisis management division. The audience leaned forward, recognition lighting their faces. Everyone has something special, Lily said, her voice softening. What matters is whether we're brave enough to let it be seen, whether we trust that the right people will recognize our value. After the speech, the line of people waiting stretched across the hall. An elderly woman gripped Lily's hand, tears streaming down her weathered face. I have a granddaughter like you, she said, voice thick with emotion. She's been hiding who she is for so long. Can I share your story with her? Of course, Lily said warmly. Tell her that being different feels lonely until you find your people. And her people are out there, waiting for her to be brave enough to be found. Back at the office Monday morning, Lily found something unexpected on her desk. A small succulent in a bright blue pot with a note. First day. Wish me luck. Maya. Lily smiled, remembering. Maya was the new temporary assistant who'd started last week, shy, anxious, terrified of being noticed. Lily had taken her to coffee, listened as Maya tearfully confessed her dyslexia and fear of being seen as incompetent. Now Maya had a real chance, just like Lily had been given. Lily walked to the 42nd floor where Maya sat at what had once been Lily's desk. The young woman looked up nervously. "I got your plant," Lily said warmly. "Thank you. That was thoughtful." "I wanted to thank you properly," Maya whispered. "For not making me hide who I am." Lily felt her heart swell. She saw herself so clearly in this frightened girl. "Maya, people are going to doubt you sometimes. They're going to make assumptions that hurt. But you know what really matters?" Maya shook her head, waiting. Lily smiled, repeating the words that had changed her life. "You know you're special, right? Don't let anyone make you forget that. Not for a single moment." Maya's eyes filled with tears, but she was smiling too. That afternoon, Lily sat in a strategy meeting, not in the corner anymore, but at the table where decisions were made. Marcus caught her eye and smiled slightly, a private acknowledgement of how far they'd both traveled. Bernard stopped by her office at day's end, pride written across his face. "Look at you now," he said simply. "Leading the way for others. Because you showed me how," Lily replied. "No," Bernard corrected gently. "I just held up a mirror so you could see what was already there. You did the hard part. You chose to be seen." As Lily packed up that evening, she paused at her window overlooking the city. Lights were coming on one by one as darkness fell. Somewhere out there were other people like her, people with gifts they were hiding, differences they'd learned to apologize for. And through the work she was doing now, maybe some would find the courage to step into the light. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "Dinner Sunday? Want to hear all about the conference. So proud of you, sweetheart." Lily smiled, typing back. "Can't wait. Love you, Mom." Their relationship had healed over these years, her mother learning to celebrate Lily's independence. Lily learning to accept love without feeling smothered. Another text came through. An email from Marcus. New initiative proposal. "Lily, the Different Perspectives program has exceeded every projection, but I think we can do more. I'm proposing we expand beyond Sterling Corporation. Create a consulting branch that helps other companies implement similar programs nationwide. I want you to lead it. This isn't just about our company anymore. It's about changing how the entire business world thinks about difference, about value, about what makes someone worthy of a seat at the table. Think about it." M.S. Lily stood there, commuters rushing past on the street below, and felt emotion so powerful it nearly took her breath away. A year ago, she'd been a temporary assistant, convinced her greatest achievement would be staying invisible long enough to collect a paycheck. Now she was being asked to lead a movement that could change lives across the country. She hit reply. "I'm in. Let's change the world, one inclusive workplace at a time." As the elevator descended, Lily caught her reflection in its polished doors. Not the frightened girl who'd spent years hiding, but a woman who'd learned that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was showing up afraid and doing the right thing anyway. She thought about all the moments that had led here, the broken microphone, Bernard's kindness, Marcus's challenge, Victoria's betrayal, the terrifying choice to speak when silence was safer. Every moment had been necessary. Every fear had been worth facing. Lily pulled out her phone and typed a note she'd share with Maya tomorrow, with every shy person who came through the Different Perspectives program, with anyone who needed permission to stop hiding. Your difference isn't your flaw. It's your superpower. The world just hasn't learned to see it yet, but that's about to change. She saved it, then smiled. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new opportunities to be brave, new chances to help others find their light. But tonight, Lily was content to walk through this city, watch the lights shimmer around her, and simply be fully, completely, unapologetically herself. And that, she'd learned through this entire journey, was more than enough. It was everything. If this story touched your heart, please share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me where you're watching from. I love knowing our community spans the globe. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for having the courage to be beautifully, wonderfully you. Until next time.